Welcome to Info Support videos. I am Rohini, here to explain you about how to validate an entity from EDM. The agenda of this video will be: what are the uses of validating entity? What is a prerequisite? What are the steps involved in validating the entity? So here is the uses of validating the entity. The validate entity option will help us to make sure that all the referential constraints are available for the child table in the entity, and hence to confirm if the child tables can be reached from the parent table of the entity, it is required to validate the entity in the EDM. So here is a prerequisite before validating the entity. So we have to make the parent table of the entity as a driving table. Import the primary and the referential constraints of the table into the entity as entity constraints. Validating the entity will begin from the driving table of the entity and check if all the referential constraints are satisfied and the child tables are reachable. Here are the steps to validate the entity. Go to Data Archive Web UI. Launch the EDM through Accelerator's Enterprise Data Manager. Once the EDM is launched, go to View File Archive tab. Navigate to the product family version that contains the entity. Once you have navigated to the product family version, expand the application module under the product family version and select the required entity. Once the entity is selected, ensure that the driving table is set for the right table in the entity. So here we have the image from the EDM. Go to the product family version, click on the schema name, expand the entity, and right click on the entity and check if the driving table is set to the right table for the entity. After confirming the driving table is set to the correct table, right click on the entity and click on the validate entity option. So if all the relationship for the table are correct and all the child tables are reaching from the driving table, that is the parent table in the entity, you will get an option that entity is valid. So this is all about validating the entity. Any kind of feedback, we would love to hear from you from the following sites. Thank you.